Most of us are slaves to an algorithm whether we like to admit it or not. These algorithms have got a tight hold on us. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of them have some sort of instant dopamine gratification, something that they are just satisfying that makes it easy to scroll from one reel to the next, one short, reel, TikTok, whatever it may be. And it works, man. Scrolling and social media addictions wouldn't be such a big problem in our society if they didn't work. Companies like TikTok have got us on that instant dopamine spike, the Ferris wheel that never stops, where they hook you in with a little short video that somebody's posted and keep you on just enough to the point where when you finally are bored of that video in, about half a second or so, you could easily swipe to something else that will satisfy that desire for something new, creative, and stimulating for your brain. And we all know what it leads to. Bad psychological conditions where you get totally addicted to your phone, where minutes can turn to hours like that. You could be on TikTok for 5 minutes and all of a sudden you've gone from 4:05 to 4:55. 50 minutes of your life that you're never going to be able to get back, and what do you have to show for it? Think about all the reels that you sent your friends, a month ago or 2 months ago. Tell me your favorite reel that you sent your friend last month. Most of us can't even remember what reel we sent to our friends a week ago, let alone the reels from last month. But yet we spent time on those. We went on the app and found that really funny video and we sent it to one of our friends. And for that brief moment, it's great. But then that time is gone forever and you're never able to get it back. And for these companies, they benefit the most from making their apps as engaging and addictive as possible. That's why user engagement and retention are so big on these platforms, because brands and companies want to make sure that you're seeing advertisements on the platform that is going to have the most amount of watch time with the most amount of eyes. And so that is what is important to these tech companies. So they make their platforms as addictive as possible to keep you on as long as they possibly can. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how I broke the chains on my social media addictions, freed myself from being a slave of the algorithm, and the 4 strategies that I use that I can hopefully pass on to you to break those same chains as well. Now, this video is not sponsored by the 1sec app. As a matter of fact, I really wish it was, because I would have nothing but good things to say about them. But it's an app that costs $20 a year for iOS and Android, and it literally just acts as an intervention to make sure that you aren't going to be stuck in those same old routines on social media. Social media usage is purely habitual. I mean, how many times have you closed Instagram, literally not just refreshed, but actually closed the entire app just so that you could reopen it again to get a refreshed timeline? Because for some reason, our brains crave that instant addiction of something new. We always want to have a refresh or a re-scroll. That's why so many of these applications work so well. 1sec as an app aims to break that connection, aims to sever that habitual simply clicking on it and getting that instant gratification so that you could be more directed with your time. Now, the platform that was my specific vice before this was Instagram. Instagram had a tight hold on me, and as of the 1sec app, as what it's telling me, I was using Instagram and opening it 170 times per week. That is insane. I mean, think about how many times you've opened Instagram this week, if you use Instagram. I mean, most of us can't actually count because it's been so many times that we don't even know anymore. For me, seeing how many times I was opening it every day was just insane. For me, it said that I was using it 170 times per week, but when I very first started using the 1sec app, it was telling me I was using Instagram as much as 60 times per day, which is nuts. Now, the way it works is pretty simple. You go and set it up with your apps, just simply put through your shortcuts. In my case, I'm using it on iPhone, and when you click on the app that you want to get into, it makes you take what is by default a 6-second breather, deep breath in, deep breath out, to actually go and open the platform, get into the platform. Additionally, you have different options you can add in between there to make it even more of a buffer between you clicking on that app, expecting that instant dopamine spike of seeing whatever's new on your timeline or your feed, and actually getting there. Because by doing these things like taking a deep breath in and out, doing something else, they have little games in there, they have little journal entries, things you can just put in between you actually click on the app and actually getting into the app that make it so that it's harder for you to maintain that dopamine connection. Breaking down what I just said there in really simple terms, caveman brain, click on Instagram, expect, dopamine reward by seeing whatever's new on the timeline, and then when that connection is broken, your brain doesn't know how to react. Because in that moment, your brain is expecting to get that huge hit of dopamine from seeing something new on social media, and that's where the habit has been formed. But when you sever that connection, when you disrupt that, the brain actually kicks back into high gear. Because the thing is, when you click on an app like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and you don't get that dopamine spike, your right brain freaks out. Your right brain, which is used to that dopamine spike and getting whatever's newest on your timeline immediately, It goes, what the heck? Where is it? Where is it? What do you mean I have to wait, take a deep breath? And that gives you just enough time to break that habit for a moment and have the logical side of your brain, your left brain, again, just speaking loosely here, actually say, oh, should we be opening Instagram at the moment, or should we be working on our project, working on our work, doing something more productive? And so for me, when I first put in the application, I would click on Instagram and all of a sudden it would say, take a deep breath. And I'd go, where's the timeline? Where's the feed? What? My right brain would freak out. And then in that moment, I would go, you know what? I don't actually need to open Instagram. So after, the timer is up, after 6 seconds, and again, you can make it longer if you want, then it has the option where it tells you how many times you've tried to open that app today, and you have the ability to say, I don't want to go to this app, or continue to this app. Now for me personally, I've actually added in another layer to this that actually makes it so that it asks me, how long do you want to use Instagram for? And I have the option of, do 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. No limit is an option there, but it's very, very small. And this just basically makes it so that, yes, if I do want that quick dopamine spike, I can quickly get in what I need and then leave. Or if I'm trying to respond to a message or whatever, but it makes it so that I don't fall into that scrolling madness. It's madness, because that's what it is. So say I open Instagram and I say, oh, I'm just responding to a DM. I click on the button, it makes me take a deep breath, and then I breathe out. And then it says, how long do you want to be on the platform for? And I say, all I need is 2 minutes. I hit 2 minutes, I respond to my friend, and then I see a picture from my friend on Instagram, and I scroll down, and I'm like, okay, and then I see the Explore feed, and I see a new thing that came up, maybe Taylor Swift said something to somebody, or some other event was happening in the world, and I was like, oh, I want to know more about that. And I start scrolling, 2 minutes later, after that timer resets, the app pops up and it says, hey, you said you only needed 2 minutes. If you want to continue scrolling on Instagram, you need to do another 6-second breather. And I go, I'm done. Breaking free from the algorithms is all about severing those connections. I know I've in the past tried to do things like screen time on iOS where the app is disabled, and if I click on it, it says, oh, but even then, if you just have a button that says continue to screen time, your brain will just add that in. It won't actually break that cycle. But by forcing you to have time in between the clicking on the app to the instant gratification of the app, you are forcing your brain to break that habit and visualize the information like, how much time do you actually need? How much have you already been on it today? Is this actually something that you want to direct your time towards, or are you just looking for that quick dopamine hit? Now for most people, getting the app by itself is more than enough to already start to slow down those social media habits. But we're going for the throat here. We want to kill our social media addiction and break free of these algorithms. But to truly kill your addiction to an algorithm, you have to eliminate the habit behind it. You have to remove that part of your brain that wants that quick dopamine spike by clicking on the app and seeing whatever's newest on your Instagram timeline or TikTok timeline or whatever. So after you've got 1 sec, use it just on its default settings with the apps that you think you're going to be using the most during the week, the things that you want to reduce your reliance on. Use that. So in my case, I've got Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, and TikTok set up. Those are the ones that I've got it set. And after a week, I noticed that I opened Instagram on average 170 times. Facebook was 115 times. Snapchat was 10 times. TikTok, I just straight up deleted because it was so high. I just thought, oh, I don't even need this app anymore. So it's gone. And then YouTube was 40 times. So ideally, you should have an idea of the apps that you're going to be addicted to the most. And that's what strategy number 2 essentially is. Making it so that you're increasing the amount of time to actually get in that dopamine spike, making it so that your brain recognizes that it's simply not worth the small little bit of a reward anymore. When you click on the app and get the reward, oh, super easy. But now you have to wait a minute or even less. You can set it as less if you want to. Yeah, not worth it. And as a result of doing that, I was able to reduce the amount of time that I was using Instagram significantly, so much so to the point where now I've set it back down at the original 6-second breather interval just to get into the app. And it's much, much quicker, and my brain recognizes that it's much, much quicker. But if my reliance on it goes up at all, well, I just simply increase the time. If I go from using Instagram 20 times per week to 40 times per week, well, we know that we got to increase that breather in the middle from clicking on the app from 6 seconds to 20 seconds. And by doing so, I'm severing the habits in my brain that associate clicking on Instagram with a quick burst of dopamine and making it so that I only am in charge of when I get those quick bursts of dopamine, and they should be for a specific reason. I should not be using it as a crutch, but rather I'm using social media as a tool that is directed based on my time. And I can honestly say that after using it for close to 3 months now, it has significantly made me happier. By at least 20%, I would say. Because what I was finding was, as much as I enjoyed those short little dopamine bursts, what was far more depressing, that completely outweighed all of the small little dopamine bursts by a long shot, was the fact that I was wasting so much time. Knowing that I was wasting 4 hours a day on Instagram just from scrolling through nonsense and nothingness that didn't even get added to long-term memory, because again, I can't remember what I sent to my friend a week ago in the form of a reel. The fact that I had those habits broken, or at least significantly reduced, means that I'm spending far less time on Instagram. Because there is not a number of little small dopamine bursts from opening the app that would outweigh the pain that is caused from knowing that you just went on a 3-hour social media rampage and wasted so much time that you can never get back. You can never get it back. There's just no way. But Josh, I hear you say, we're getting near to the end of this video and you haven't even gone over the last 2 strategies. I mean, you said there was 4 strategies, and now you told us the first 2. The first one is sever the actual habits that are creating that social media addiction and, regulate it accordingly. Well, what are the other 2? Number 3, I would say, is very important for me, especially as somebody who actually works in technology on a daily basis. I mean, I'm around computers and screens constantly. I need to be, so that I'm connected to the outside world in all that I am doing. But now for me, as somebody who works in tech, I've always viewed my technology as something that allows me to relax. It is something that will allow me a chance to escape, whether it's playing games on my computer, scrolling my phone, watching TV, whatever it may be. But the truth is, our technology in the modern age, for most people, unless you're sending an email to your relatives or, FaceTiming your family or doing something that actually genuinely brings you joy and connects you with other people, for most of us, we are spending time on technology that is not relaxing us. In fact, it's doing quite the opposite. It's sucking us in even further, which makes us think even further, which makes us more unhappy. So strategy number 3 simply is to stop viewing your technology as places to relax. They are tools. You are either using them to actually go and do something, whether it be work, social media. Typically, there is some sort of outcome or something you want to achieve with your technology, which makes it a tool. It's not something that you can use to relax, even though you're playing games. And that's strategy number 3, viewing your technology as tools. Because even though you want to say, oh, but when I'm going and gaming with my friends, I'm relaxed, I'm relaxing. Well, no, most of the time you're actually just enjoying the process of, playing that game, trying to get that high score, talking with your friends, the social experience of it all. Most of the time you're not achieving true relaxation through that. It's still enjoyable, it still, decompresses you to a certain extent, but for true relaxation, you have to turn off the technology. And that brings us on to strategy number 4, which is literally touching grass. Like go touch grass, go outside. Like if you want to break the social media addiction that you have, you gotta go outside. You gotta go outside. You gotta go for a walk in nature, maybe touch a tree. Now I know that sounds incredibly stupid, but genuinely, the best way to actually decompress and break free from these algorithms is not to leave your phone at home and go for a walk or anything, but just take yourself and remove yourself from the technology that is consuming you, in addition to breaking the habits. And if you do that, I can guarantee that you're gonna at least significantly reduce your social media usage, if not get rid of it entirely. Because it's okay to have these apps to connect with our friends and talk to other people and, make ourselves feel good when we post a photo online and it gets a lot of likes. But recognizing these things for what they really are and not allowing ourselves to be brought in by the habits that these companies want us to create is what's going to allow us to live more directed, full lives. And as somebody who works in tech and uses tech on a day-to-day basis knows, it's going to allow us to just generally be happier. Now I know this is a little bit different from what I normally do, but it's what's on my mind today. So I thought I'd share it with you. As always, my name is Josh Mountain. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next one.